Hello there, everyone. Welcome. Appreciate you all taking time to join us for the first informational webinar for the 2025 VETS Indexes Employer Awards Program. We are going to get started in just a moment. We have a fair number of people signed up, so I want to give everyone the chance to come and join before we get rolling. I'll give it another minute or two for some stragglers to roll in, and then we will get things started. Okay, we might still have a few other people join us, but I want to be respectful of everyone's time. So I will get things started right now. I will also mention we are planning to post video from this webinar up on our website. So anything that you might miss, or if you have to hop early, you'll be able to catch up later there. Thank you all so much for taking time to join us today. I know we all have very busy schedules, always a big rush to get work done before the holiday season. So appreciate you all spending a bit of your day here with me. I am going to give you all a quick overview of the VETS Indexes Employer Awards program. I have a presentation that should take about half an hour or so, and then I will reserve as much time as needed to answer any and all questions you have. So really looking forward to it. Here is a quick rundown of what we're going to cover during today's session. We will have, kind of brief introductory remarks of explaining what VETS Indexes is, the origin of this program. We'll give an overview of the employer awards, give everyone a look at our awardees from 2024, talk through some of the benefits of participating, including a few of our related initiatives that are tied to the Employer Awards program, the Veteran Employment Benchmarking Service, and the Employing U.S. Vets Conference. And we will also give you an overview of the survey sections, what is updated in in this year's Employer Awards survey, and then we will close with some shortcuts, tips, and advice before giving everyone a chance to ask questions. And that is actually the first thing that I want to mention. Please do ask questions. Everyone should have access to the chat feature. Please just enter your questions into chat, and I will keep an eye on all of them and then answer all of them at the end when we are wrapped with the presentation. So please go ahead and ask questions. I'm going to start with a quick disclaimer. This is a disclaimer related to our survey. I am mindful there's a lot of text and it's relatively small. I'm sure that not everyone is able to see it all that well. I will add that we have this same disclaimer language on the survey itself, so you'll have another opportunity to review it. And with that, let's start with a quick introduction of the organization behind the VETS Indexes Employer Awards, VETS Indexes. Now, we are a small organization that is still relatively young. We were founded just in August 2017, but despite that young age, we have very quickly become a leading voice on veteran employment issues. We have a excuse me, apologies about that. We have offices in New York City and Washington, D.C., which is where I'm talking to you from today. I'm based in Washington. So VETS Indexes has four primary initiatives. The first is the one that we're here to talk about today, the VETS Index's Employer Awards. We'll go into more detail about it in a moment. For now, suffice to say, it is a completely complimentary survey and recognition program that compares veteran employment programs at organizations of all types. We also have the Veteran Employment Benchmarking Service. This is a very detailed, really comprehensive benchmarking service that can put what your organization is doing in the veteran space in comparison with what your peer organizations are doing, and give you some really granular, actionable, custom advice for how your organization in particular is showing some room to improve. We also have the Employing US Vets Conference. This is a twice yearly conference that we host. The fall one we just had in October is typically a virtual conference. The next conference coming up in April 2025 is in New York City, and we also have a virtual component as well for those who can't make it to New York. And the purpose of this conference is really to share best practices related to veteran employment. And last but certainly not least are indexes of publicly traded companies. So we established and maintain two indexes linked to financial products of the publicly traded companies that have the best veteran employment programs. Now, our indexes are kind of most tangential of those four initiatives to what we're here today to talk about. So I don't want to spend too much time on them, but I'll give you all a little more information in this one slide. So we are right now looking at the information for VETS-X, our flagship index. And we have some explanation here on the left that kind of explains our thinking and how all of this came to be. The kind of founding story of VETS indexes was based on the theory that veteran hiring isn't just something that is good public relations that makes you feel good, but doesn't make that much of a difference for the company. Our theory going in was that veterans represent very talented human resources, but are kind of underappreciated in the employment market. So our theory was the organizations that best leverage this incredibly talented human resource will ultimately see the benefit show up in their bottom lines. And as you can see from our performance history, indeed, that thesis has been borne out. Dark blue is the S&P 500 common benchmark. Light blue is our flagship index, VETS-X. And you can see really outstanding performance. So a couple quick items to mention on this. First, if you represent or have connections with financial institutions that might be interested in doing some business with us on our indexes, setting up financial products or other vehicles, tied to our indexes, we are always happy to have those conversations. Send me an email if that's the case, survey@vetsindexes.com. And I should also mention this, our indexes are tied to the Employer Awards program. The way that an organization, the way that a publicly traded company gets on our indexes is by participating in the Employer Awards program and doing well. So that is the connection to the VETS Index's Employer Awards. I do want to mention this is the one and literally only thing that we do at VETS Indexes that is restricted to only certain types of organizations. Obviously, financial products of publicly traded companies are only relevant if you're a publicly traded company. And wouldn't apply to all the other groups that participate in our employer awards, conferences, etc. So that's a quick overview of our indexes. Now let's get to the heart of the matter, the VETS Indexes Employer Awards, what we're all here today to discuss and go over. So at the top level, the most important thing to understand about the Employer Awards program is it's an effort to evaluate and compare organizations, veteran-related veteran employment related policies, practices, and outcomes, and through a survey, and to give awards to the best finishers. As I mentioned, this employer awards program is open to employers of all types and sizes. So, yes, publicly traded companies, but also companies that are privately held, government agencies and departments, law enforcement agencies always participate a lot, nonprofit organizations, institutions of higher education. Bottom line, if you work for an organization for whom hiring and employing veterans is a priority, the VETS Index's Employer Awards program is for your organization, regardless of type, regardless of size, regardless of any other factors. Few important notes about how we run this program. It is designed to be very objective and focused on data. And this is something that sets us apart a bit in the veteran employment space. We're not the only veteran employment awards program out there, and some of them take different approaches than us in a few ways. One of those that I've seen has been more subjective approach to evaluation, asking organizations to write essays about how much they love veterans and then giving awards to the best essays. That's a fine way to do it. But from our standpoint, it doesn't really allow for the meaningful apples to apples comparisons that are necessary if you want to make meaningful judgments of what organizations are doing. So to avoid that, we are very focused on hard data in this evaluation. Mostly numeric and almost always objective, hard, easily comparable facts. We have been absolutely thrilled to see the rapid growth in the Employer Awards program. The number of organizations participating has tripled in the past couple of years. And we're projecting even more growth in 2025. So if you haven't participated before, now is a perfect time to get involved. And last, but certainly not least, it's something that I wish I didn't have to mention, but is unfortunately necessary because sadly, pay-to-play types of awards programs have proliferated, unfortunately, in the veteran space in recent years. This is another area where we have worked very hard to differentiate ourselves from some other programs in the space where, the more you give the organization running the program financially, the more you get. For us, it's very important to us that the VETS Index's Employer Awards program is run with the highest integrity and that it truly is what it says it is, which is a fair, neutral, objective, third-party evaluation of organizations' veterans programs. From our standpoint, you can either be that fair evaluation or you can give a little something extra to companies that pay you. But if you're doing any of that pay-to-play stuff, you're really jeopardizing the integrity of the objective evaluation. So for us, we have designed the VETS Index's Employer Awards program to be completely demonetized. There is absolutely no cost involved with any part of the program from start to finish. That's not because VETS Indexes as an organization is flush with revenue and we don't have a need for revenue. It's because for us, it's a very important line in the sand for how we are ethically running this program. Bottom line, the VETS Index's Employer Awards are something that can only ever be earned based on what employers are doing for veterans. They can never, ever be bought. So let's now talk about who's participating already. The last version of this program, the 2024 VETS Index's Employer Awards, recognized 285 organizations with awards, recognized across 4 different award levels: 5-star employer, 4-star employer, 3-star employer, and recognized employer. I will add that not every organization that participates will receive an award. It's important to us that the VETS Index's Employer Awards program is very meaningful, and that when a veteran sees the Vets Index's Employer Awards, seal of approval, that tells them this is an organization that really knows what they're doing. So for that reason, we can't just give everyone an award who gives us a survey, regardless of what the survey says. We really need a differentiating mechanism. And so that's why not everyone is ultimately going to receive an award, but more on that in a second. Before we get to that, though, let's take a look at our awardees. I'm sure if your organization is considering participating, you are curious what other organizations are participating. So I will give you all a look at them now, starting with our most prestigious award, 5-Star Employer. And as I scroll down, you are going to see a wide variety of organization types, from very large organizations, household names, multinational companies, to very small organizations, your local sheriff's office, your local, your state agencies, nonprofit organizations, moving on to 4-Star Employers now. You're seeing organizations of all types and sizes here. And I think that really kind of bears out what I said before, that we had designed this program to fairly and on a level playing field compare organizations of all types. And I think that the results really show, indeed, you're seeing organizations of many different profiles across all of our award levels. So this is not something where, if you're a big company, then it's easy. If you're small, it's hard. If you're a government contractor, it's going to be easy. If you're not, it's hard. We went to a great deal of effort to make sure that no matter what type of organization you represent, you can get a fair shake in the VETS Index's Employer Awards. So I am now wrapping up the 2024 awardees. This is the bottom of the recognized list. Congratulations to all of our awardees from 2024. Now let's talk through some of the costs associated with participating, both financial and non-monetary. So of course, financial, and this is something I mentioned previously, the VETS Index's Employer Awards program is not for sale in any way whatsoever. There is absolutely no cost to request a survey invitation, to fill out the survey, to submit your survey, to be evaluated, to receive an award, to publicly announce your award status, and particularly important, we have no licensing fee for the award logo. That's something that unfortunately an increasing number of organizations have been adopting. Sure, you can win an award, but if you want to display the logo that you get, well, then you have to pay a licensing fee. Again, for us, what is most important is that when veterans see that logo, they know it was earned by what the organization did for veterans. It wasn't bought. So that is our policy there. Absolutely no cost in any way at any point in the process to participate. Obviously, financial costs are not the only things to keep in mind. There's a few other items you should be tracking, including man hours. How much time is this going to cost me and my team to participate in this? And that's something that, seeing some of these other veteran employment award programs out there, that is a fair concern to have. I've seen some that are amazingly long, go on for 100, 200, 300 questions. We understand everyone is busy. We want to be very respectful of your time. And so we've designed our survey to be as short and to the point as possible. It's about 65 questions and can be completed in just a few hours. Another key item is confidentiality. Now, even as our survey is very efficiently designed, we really do dig very deep into the data describing companies' veteran employment policies, practices, and outcomes. And a lot of the information that we ask for is internal and sensitive. I think a lot of organizations would consider it proprietary and would not want it publicly released, would not want their competitors to know all these details of what they're doing. That is something we completely understand. And that is something that we have designed the survey process around. So we have very strict confidentiality measures in place. Um, Bottom line, for all of the information that you provide in the survey, there's only three pieces of information that we're going to publicly release. Number one, the name of your organization. Number two, your organization's logo. And number three, your organization's award level, should you receive an award. And that brings me to one last note on confidentiality. That confidentiality extends not just to survey responses, the data you provide in the survey. That confidentiality also extends to survey participation should your organization not receive an award. Um, we have tried to design this program so that it carries no reputational risk. We understand that just the fact that you're here today listening to me talk about this program means that you're taking veteran employment issues a lot more seriously than a lot of other organizations out there. So if an organization is, still kind of new to veteran employment issues, maybe participating with us for the first time, and submits a survey but ends up not receiving an award, uh, our intention is not to be punitive, to shame them in any way. Our intention is to kind of help them figure out what they need to do to improve. So recognizing that this is a self-selecting group, by policy, any organization that submits a survey but ultimately is not recognized with an award, we make absolutely no mention of that organization anywhere in our materials. From the outside perspective, it's the same as if they hadn't submitted a survey whatsoever. The only people who would know that your organization participated should you not receive an award are your team who worked on the survey and our very small team at VETS, and that is it. So again, no reputational risk, trying to make it easy for folks to participate and easy for them to improve what they're doing in the veteran employment space. So we talked a bit about some of the costs associated with participating. Let's talk through the benefits, and there are many, many of those. Some of them by empowering your organization to spread the good word about what you're doing. Some of them are mechanisms that we're using to help spread the good word. So a lot of it starts with this logo right here. You heard me mention it as a seal of approval. This is the 2025 award logo. You see four different logos corresponding with our four different award levels. And this is something that awardees receive and are free to use as they wish for absolutely no charge on internal correspondence, external marketing, advertising, recruiting. This can be enormously helpful spreading the word that your organization really is a leader in the veteran employment space. When you're trying to recruit, this is the seal of approval that tells the veterans you're trying to recruit that your organization is a leader and would be a good place for them to end up. When you're working with business partners, this tells them that you are a leader on veterans issues. And of course, the general public, perhaps some of your customers, depending on what type of organization you are, again, third-party validation that you're the best of the best. Also important to add, in addition to this logo, we send a news release customized with the organization's name and award level, with custom quotations as well that you can distribute to your media contacts through your marketing department, et cetera. So that's some of the ways we empower your organization to spread the word about what you're doing in the veteran space. We also have been very fortunate to get a lot of media coverage ourselves. You'll see national media outlets, including Fox Business, CNBC, have covered us, as have military-specific outlets such as military.com and Stars and Stripes. Participating in the VETS Index's Employer Awards program also carries some ancillary benefits associated with some of our other initiatives. The first of those that I'll mention today is the Veteran Employment Benchmarking Service. Now, you heard me mention earlier that we have a ton of data that we're collecting in the survey, but also the only thing we publicly release is the organization's name, logo, award level. That's it. So in between those two things is a vast wealth of data that we didn't want to just kind of let go to waste. And that's why we designed the benchmarking service. Essentially, what it does is takes the data that we're collecting for the survey evaluation and turns it right back around at the organization participating, giving them context on how their veteran program compares with other organizations. And we're able to draw several different types of comparisons from the comparisons to our most highly rated organizations, five-star employers, to our full field of survey respondents. That's the overall average. Then we have two different looks at peer groups, industry-based and size-based peer groups. So you can get really granular figuring out how your organization compares. We can do this throughout the survey. We can do this at a summary level. We can do this with 6 years of longitudinal data. There is more detail here than I could possibly cover, but suffice to say, a tremendous wealth of information through the benchmarking service. From my perspective, being able to take advantage of the benchmarking is one of the best reasons to participate in the employer awards. And I should emphasize, because the benchmarking service is based on data provided in the employer award survey, you can't really take advantage of the benchmarking service unless you've submitted the employer award survey, because otherwise we have no data to benchmark you with. So another very important reason to participate. In addition, participants in the VETS Index's Employer Award Survey receive a complimentary ticket to join us for our next conference. That will be April 10th, 2025 in New York City. We hold this conference twice yearly, as I mentioned previously, bringing together thought leaders in veteran employment to share best practices, collaborate, and most importantly, network. Always a great crowd, a lot of great discussions to be had there. If your organization is interested in sponsoring, we do have a limited number of sponsorship opportunities still available. I will mention, if you're interested, you are better reaching out to us sooner rather than later, especially for our spring conference in New York City. Those sponsorships tend to go rather quickly. Send an email to info@vetsindexes.com and my team will get back to you soon. And to register, you can just click on this link, employingusvets.com/register. I am very excited about our keynote speaker for the Employing US Vets Conference. He will be Bruce Townsend, Chief of Engagement for Employer Support of the Guard and Reserve, which is an official DoD sub-agency. Bruce is someone we've worked with for years. I think people tend to think about the government as, maybe more stick than carrot, as the people who are just going to yell at you if you get stuff wrong. That is not how ESGR works. ESGR is a tremendous organization that really is a great educational resource for helping employers know how to kind of best serve their employees who are members of the National Guard or Reserve. So excited to have Bruce speak. All right. Quick reminder that we are starting to get near the end of the presentation. So please enter questions into chat. And I will review them as I get them. So and we'll cover them all at the end. So please do enter any questions you have. But with that, let's move on and cover these last few slides before we get to questions. Please, if you, having heard all of this, if you're ready to get started on your survey response, the very first thing you should do in terms of next step is find and click your unique link that lets you access your own custom copy of the survey. This you should be able to find in your email, probably in emails from me or my colleagues, probably the email where you first found out about this webinar. Look for messages from the at vetsindexes.com domain. If you're not able to find it, no big deal at all. Just shoot me an email, survey@vetsindexes.com, and I will get back to you and get you that link as soon as I possibly can. Another resource that can be very helpful is our blank survey PDF. You see the URL for it here, vetsindexes.com/employer-awards-survey. And that will show you every single question and answer option throughout the survey. So that can make it that can make it much easier to prepare your responses, have them all collected, and then you can enter them all at once when you're filling out the official survey online. Our frequently asked questions tells you just about everything you would need or want to know about the program, employer-awards-FAQ. And the probably most important single piece of information is the deadline. Deadline to get responses in is February 14th, 2025. So let's talk about the sections of the survey and what is new in this year's survey. Now the survey has a couple introductory sections and one concluding section, but the real heart of it are these 5 sections you see listed here: recruiting and hiring, development and retention, veteran inclusive policies and culture, Guard and Reserve policies, military, spouse, and family support. I'll mention that these also are our main 5 evaluation categories. So these are the areas we're evaluating you in. You can get more information about how we conduct that evaluation at this link, vetsindexes.com/employer-awards-methodology. It lays out how heavily each of these categories are weighed. If you are already familiar with our survey, perhaps you saw or participated in a previous year's version, and you're wondering what's new, not much has changed. It's very similar to last year's version. The primary difference is that all of the years advanced by 1, as you'd probably expect. Beyond that, we did add a few more size categories to question 2.6, which asks for an employee range. That should hopefully make it possible to do some even more granular peer comparisons in our benchmarking. All right, so a few tips and shortcuts that I want to give you all, just some advice that I think you'll find helpful. I mentioned previously, it's important enough that I'm going to mention it a second time. It's a very good idea to review that blank survey PDF and use it to gather answers, gather data for your survey response prior to actually filling it out online. Now, when you are filling out the survey online, answers will save automatically. They save every time that you click forward to advance a page or you click back to go back a page. All the answers that you entered on that page are automatically saved. So this means you can fill out the survey over multiple sessions and pick it up the next hour, the next day, the next week, the next month, and you'll pick up right where you left off, so long as you're using the same link that you previously used to fill out the survey. And this is something that I'll take an extra moment on because I know it sometimes trips people up a bit. If you have entered a bunch of information in your survey and then you try to get back into it and it seems to all be gone, you're looking at a blank survey with none of the responses that you put in before, the explanation is likely that you had clicked a different link when you were initially filling out the survey, and you're trying to access those answers using a link that is completely different and is not related to the one you originally used. So do be careful that you're using only one unique link to fill out the survey. If you get confused on this, just send me an email. I can untangle all of these knots. Survey@vetsindexes.com. It is perfectly fine to share your unique link inside of your organization. It makes sense. A lot of organizations have multiple departments that collaborate on these responses. So having everyone have that same unique link can make that process a lot easier. But it's very important that you not share your unique link outside of your organization, as doing so can jeopardize both the confidentiality and the accuracy of your survey answers. We also have real-time validations for responses. So we have programmed the spreadsheet to, not spreadsheet, we programmed the survey to carefully evaluate the data that you're providing in the context of other data and make sure it all makes sense. For example, if you tell us you have 100 total employees and then you tell us of your total 100 employees, 120 are veterans, well, that doesn't make sense. The part can't be greater than the whole. So if that were the case, you would get an alert. So we try to make the process, kind of easy, straightforward, intuitive from start to finish. Lastly, few tips for maximizing your reward level, getting the highest reward you possibly can. First, provide as much information as you can in the survey. The more you tell us about your organization, the more you tell us about what you're doing, the more credit we can give you for what you're doing. And where you don't tell us, a lot of times we won't have the information we need to give you credit for the good work that you're doing. Now, we have a very detailed survey. We're asking for a lot of data. Likely, we're asking for some data that you do not currently track. As this happens, two pieces of advice for what to do as you're running into questions where you just don't have the data that we're asking for. Number one, don't sweat it. Don't worry about it too much. It's perfectly fine to skip questions here and there. I don't think there's any organization that's able to answer every single question in the survey. Not a big deal to skip a few questions, and skipping questions does not, preclude you from receiving an award, even our highest award. As long as you're answering most of the survey, if you're leaving some parts blank, that's okay. But even as you're skipping these questions, not worrying too much about it, what I would advise is start working with your HR information systems folks sooner rather than later to see what you can do in the coming months to start collecting this data that you aren't currently tracking that we're asking for, so that when next year's survey rolls around, you will be able to answer more of these questions. Few last but still very important pieces of advice before I turn to questions. First, please read the instructions at the beginning of the survey and read the instructions at the top of each question very, very carefully as you're answering. You're going to want to answer all parts of the question, and you're going to want to follow the survey structure and guidelines very closely. Where you start to depart from those guidelines, where you start to answer, say, one part of a question but not the other part, we very quickly lose the ability to contextualize the information you did enter. So make sure you're carefully following instructions and answering questions as completely as possible. Now, when you get to the very last page of the survey, you'll get an alert. It'll say at the very top of the page, you are on the last page of the survey before submitting. And then below that, you'll see a readout of all of the answers that you provided in the survey. Now, I'll mention that is a read-only, a view. You can't edit responses there. But if you come across responses that you need to edit as you're reviewing your answers on that last page, just scroll to the very bottom of the page and then press the left arrow button to go back in the survey, the left pointing arrow button to go back in the survey, and then change whatever responses need to be changed, advance back to the end of the survey. When you get to that last page, if you're sure all of your answers are correct this time, just hit the right arrow button. Your answers will be officially submitted. So that's how to submit. Most important, and frankly, if you don't remember anything else I said, if you only have one takeaway from today's webinar, it's this. Email me for help. survey@vetsindexes.com. That is our catch-all inbox that always forwards straight to my email. I'm the person who put together the survey. There isn't any question you have about the survey that I can't answer. So please, any questions you have, survey@vetsindexes.com. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions that anyone attending today's webinar might have. Please type those questions in. I'm not seeing anything just yet. I'll give it a minute or two for questions to come in before hopping. But you're also seeing information below for our coming Employing US Vets Conference. I hope to see many of you there. And let's see, I'm seeing people raise hands, but I'm not seeing anyone in chat. Okay. Um, I realized just now, and please accept my apologies, folks, it had not been possible to enter questions into chat before. I think I just changed a setting where it was. Please give it a try. I know it looks like Lisa Taylor raised her hand, and we have a few other attendees who did. Good, good, good. And I am seeing chats come in. So please accept my apologies for having turned that off. It is now on. Enter questions, and I will answer them as I see them. Thank you all very much for bearing with me. So I see a bunch of people letting me know that it is working. I'm starting to see a few questions come in. First, I'm seeing from Andy, when is the survey deadline? Survey responses are due February 14th. I'll let you guys know, we do have a little bit of wiggle room there. We can push the deadline back a few days, probably not, too many weeks, but we do try to work with you there. Question if the deck will be shared. Yes, we will share both the slide deck and video from the presentation. We're going to share that both on our website and as a follow-up email. So keep your eyes peeled for that later this week. All right. Next question I'm seeing is what is offered at the conference? Absolutely great question. And I went over everything pretty quickly, including details about the conference. So I'll give a little more information. This is a one-day event. It's going to start early in the morning, typically 8:39 is when we start. We run throughout the day with a few breaks for lunch, a couple breaks throughout the day as well. But we start with some opening remarks. We have a keynote address from, I mentioned previously, Bruce Townsend with Employer Support of the Guard and Reserve. And we also have panels throughout the day that get at various issues related to veteran employment. And so we aim for a wide variety of speakers on these panels, and there's always really helpful, actionable advice that you get out of them. So the main point of this conference is really to promote best practices related to veteran employment and to have folks who've been there kind of share their wisdom and lessons learned with other folks who are maybe in earlier stages developing their veterans programs. All right, a question from Catherine about the benchmarking. So that question is, so benchmarking is done against other comparable companies, but this is always anonymous, meaning you never know who you are being compared to because data isn't made public. Yes, that is just about the gist of it. We take confidentiality very seriously. And that means confidentiality of your own organization's responses, but it also means confidentiality of other organizations' responses. So we have set up several different aggregate averages that help you see where your organization stands in comparison to other organizations like your own. We have an industry peer group average that uses NAICS codes, North American Industry Classification System codes, to compare your organization to other organizations in the same industry. But we've built in protections that make sure that no organization can see another individual organization's data. It's only going to be aggregate data that have multiple organizations included. So that way, you can rest assured that you will, through the benchmarking, get very helpful, very specific to your organization context in how your organization compares with everyone else, particularly organizations similar to yours. But you can also rest assured that none of your data will be available to be seen by any other organization participating in the benchmarking or anything else. All right. The next question I'm seeing from Lisa is, when will you announce the winners? So we will announce the winners at this Employing US Vets conference on April 10th. We usually do that right at the beginning of the day. So that is when winners will be announced. We do it right from the stage. All right. Next question. Okay. So the next question is essentially asking, if my organization is just now starting to focus on veterans issues, am I better off participating in this year's survey that is out in the field now, or would I be better off waiting a year? Ultimately, it's up to you all, but I do have a strong opinion. And my advice would be, don't wait a year, start participating now. Fill out this year's survey now. Why do I say that? For a number of reasons. First, as I mentioned previously, there's no reputational risk. If your organization participates in the survey and does not receive an award, what that means is it's essentially, we make no public mention of your organization whatsoever. It's exactly the same as if you hadn't participated at all. So you have nothing to lose. There's no reputational risk. Either you're going to receive an award or we're just not going to make any mention of you. But even if you were to submit a completely blank survey, not answer any questions other than, the basics about who's filling it out and, the name of your organization, and you're not going to get an award submitting a blank survey, submitting that blank survey opens up the benchmarking program to you. And that can be tremendously helpful as you're trying to figure out where to allocate your limited resources in your veterans program. The benchmarking lets you see what other organizations have done when making those exact same decisions, and you can model your setup based on what has worked for them. Again, the benchmarking is something that's really only available if you participated in the Vets Index's Employer Rewards survey. Without that, we don't have the data to benchmark your organization with. So for both of those reasons, I would strongly recommend, Deborah, that you participate this year rather than waiting a year. Yes, and I see a question from Lisa. If you are not selected, are you able to give us feedback on what we can do better next time? Yes, absolutely, and that's exactly what the benchmarking service is designed to do. It's not all that helpful to say, okay, you didn't get an award, that's it, bye. We want to give organizations, tangible, helpful advice for where they are showing room for improvement and what the most efficient ways to make that improvement are. So that's what benchmarking service will do, and it provides you, both a summary level overview, which goes across kind of our 5 main evaluation categories, and will show you're doing a little stronger in recruiting, you're not doing quite as well in development and retention, you're doing somewhere in the middle in company culture. That gives you kind of a general, we should focus more on this. But I think the real value of the benchmarking is when we drill down into the individual questions and you can see, oh, well, my organization only does this when we receive an application from someone identifying as a veteran, but most of our peer organizations do this and this and this and this. So it can be tremendously helpful. Shauna is asking, does benchmarking service have a cost associated with it? Yes, there is a cost associated with the benchmarking service. We have completely demonetized every aspect of our employer rewards program to keep that an ethical, high integrity type of program, in contrast to some of the pay to play operations that have proliferated elsewhere in the veteran employment space. But for access to the exclusive data set that is available in the benchmarking service, there is a cost associated with it. I will let you all know that we have structured our pricing to be variable depending on your organization's size and type. So if you're a small organization, we have lower prices so you're better able to participate. And we've also kind of brought down our pricing across the board so that it's accessible to just about everyone. So let's see. I am not seeing any other questions. I believe I've gone through all of the questions that everyone has asked. Does anyone else have any other questions you'd like to ask? Okay. Well, you still see on your screen right now, survey vetsindexes.com. Any questions that might come to mind after today's session, please don't be shy about sending me an email at this link, at this email address. I will get back to you as soon as I can. I can answer any question you've got. I look forward to working with all of you more. And oh, I'm seeing one last question from Deborah. How can we find the cost of the benchmarking service and what's included? Deborah, shoot me an email, and I will get you specifics relevant to your organization. Again, survey at vetsindexes.com for Deborah, and for anyone else who wants to reach me, that email address will work as well. I see Lisa has one more question. How do I know I have our own unique link? So I'll take a moment to kind of explain unique links a little bit so that it's clear to Lisa and everyone else. The most important thing to understand about the unique link to access the survey is that every single email address gets its own different unique link. Even email addresses belonging to the same domain at the same company, if you got an email survey invitation directly from Vets Indexes and your colleague sitting in the cubicle next to you also got an emailed survey invitation to their email address, you two have two different unique links. So if you're entering information on one of them, and then the next day you come back and use the other one to try to access your survey again, you're going to find all the information you entered in the first link not appearing in the second link because they are not connected in any way. So the very most important thing to do with unique links is make sure you pick one link that your company is going to use to formulate a survey response and consistently use only that link. If you hopefully everyone here found this webinar through an email from us, which also has a unique link. If you cannot find your unique link, send me an email, survey@vetsindexes.com, and I will get things figured out for you. So we are coming right up on 3 p.m. I am happy to answer any additional questions that come through. I have not seen any come through in the last few minutes. So I will call it. Thank you all so much for taking the time to join us. Again, always happy to answer questions and look forward to working with you all more in the future. Have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to working with you. Thank you.